Well, you may get a kick out of today's In Sports segment. Major League Soccer this month began its 13th season, heads into year 2 of the David Beckham era. Now, the league last year set records in attendance and merchandising, but can the league keep this renewed interest, make soccer a major draw for sports fans here in the States? Well, we're going to go straight to the source and find out. We are joined right now by the league's commissioner, Don Garber. Don, thanks so much for coming into the studio.
It's great to be here.
Glad to have you. So, year 2 of Beckham. Most everybody knows David Beckham, even people who don't know about soccer.
Right.
What do you expect from him this year if he stays healthy?
Well, it's already started. He had his first goal last Saturday night. And, the important thing for this league is to have more and more people aware of the sport, more and more people paying attention, going to our games, watching them on television. And David Beckham brings that appeal not just here but around the world, but so many other players from Mexico and Brazil and Argentina, and of course great players from here in the United States that are creating this great dynamic on our fields.
Now, there was a 780% rise in jersey sales last year compared to 2006. So at least at a merchandising level,
right,
things seem to be working out for you. I mean, can some of that, all of that, be attributed to Beckham?
Well, he certainly helps. There's so many things that are going on positive for the sport. More stadiums being built, more television coverage, TV deals, broadcasting our games, lots and lots of new sponsors, attendance growing. These are all things that are part of what was really our best year ever in 2007. David kind of pushed it to that point where it really brought it over the top. And now the goal is to find out who the next David Beckham could be and what other new teams we could add, how many more stadiums can we build, things like that that will continue this great momentum that we have.
Do you sort of have a grassroots strategy, meaning so many kids, young kids, play soccer in the States, and then they seem to get siphoned off and sort of pushed into basketball, pushed into baseball, maybe sports that are going to make them more money? Is there a grassroots effort here to get them while they're young?
There certainly is, and a really big part of our fan base is all those kids, 18 million kids that play the game, and their families, obviously. But there are two other very important groups. So the second one is the Hispanic population here. 47 million Hispanics in the United States. 27 million of them are from Mexico. They love the game. They bring to their living here in this country enormous passion for the sport. And then there's all these expats, people that are living in this country that come from England, they come from Italy, they come from Argentina, Brazil, wherever it is that they come from, and they just love the sport. It's those hardcore fans, it's the Hispanics and the kids that represent our audience, and every one of those segments are growing.
Now, speaking of foreign talent, and you obviously just referenced Brazil, so hard to think about Brazil and soccer without thinking about Pele. Kind of going back to the 70s, the decision to bring him here at the end of his career, is that now considered a mistake and maybe one not to be repeated?
Well, Pele helped launch the sport in this country. If not for him and the Cosmos and the NASL, all those kids aren't playing. The World Cup probably doesn't come here in 1994, and Major League Soccer doesn't get launched. So David is here more at the prime of his career than Pele is, and many of our players are coming over from Europe and playing in our league in their late 20s or early 30s, which is the prime time for a soccer player. You look on the screen, you've got Juan Pablo Angel here in New York, and Claudio Reyna, great American player that played in England for many years. Cuauhtemoc Blanco, perhaps the most famous soccer player in Mexican history, playing in Chicago and having just throngs of fans watching him both at home and as well as when that team goes on the road.
Now, in sort of importation, we'll go exportation. What about players like Freddie Adu, who's, left the country? I mean, is the MLS concerned about losing, quote unquote, native or, I don't know,
homegrown?
Yes, homegrown talent.
There's so many great American players coming up through the grassroots system. They play in Major League Soccer. They earn their bones, if you will, and then many of them go on to pursuing their careers overseas. And while they're going over to Europe, others are coming back from Europe, guys who've played there or Europeans or other nationalities that have played overseas. It's that great dynamic mix that, by the way, exists all throughout the world.
All right, Don, we thank you very much for joining us. Don Garber there of the Major League Soccer.